One of the main issues that is being discussed here at the World Economic Forum on the Middle East and North Africa is the need to look for long-term solutions to conflicts that have been raging in the region, from Syria to Yemen to Iraq, and beyond that, to engage in strategic discussions that focus on peace and reconciliation. There had been quite a bit of anticipation that we would have an American delegation, perhaps with the son-in-law of Donald Trump, his advisor, Jared Kushner, who might have been here to push the different parties towards an acceptance of some kind of agreement between Israelis and Palestinians. That didn't quite happen. But nonetheless, the discussion has been on the table. There have been a panel session that was attended by the foreign ministers of Jordan, Oman, the Netherlands, as well as the defense minister of Lebanon, Elias, who is joining me now to discuss this. Give us a sense, if you would, Mr. Minister, about the kind of dynamics, the competing dynamics that exist when it comes to how to deal with Israel and Palestine today.
It was not a heated discussion among the panelists. It was the moderator who was probably pushing in some questions that takes the problem somewhere else. There was an agreement among the Arab ministers, at least, that the problem remains in the occupation of Israel for the Arab land. And recently, the announcement that President Trump has made, recognizing that the Golan Heights are Israeli territory. So the conversation went back to say that the problem in the Middle East will not be resolved as long as there's occupation for the Arab land.
But how much of a disunity, a divergence of opinions is there today among Arab leaders? Because we did hear that, for example, the Omanis suggested that it was time to engage with the Israelis in a more significant way, whereas others, perhaps yourself as well, thought that we should take a more cautious approach. How much of disunity is there in your ranks?
Well, I don't know about how much this is deep disagreement between all Arab states. The Omani foreign minister spoke about the history. He mentioned that the problem with Israel is the support that it received from the international community. It was the international community who helped Israel become what it is today. When I spoke, I mentioned, because I was asked if we are willing to start engaging with Israel, if we are willing to talk to Israel about such solution, two-state solution. I said maybe I feel it's good to talk to the international community, not to Israel. The international community has the obligation to force Israel in giving up the land that they occupy. And I also said, and I repeat what the president of Lebanon mentioned before, no one can grant anything that is not his. So we do not accept anyone granting any Arab land to the Israelis. The only solution that we see is a proper peaceful solution that will give up the land and will give the land back to the Arab nations.
But just briefly following up on that, to what extent is there today some kind of a peace initiative being put together by the American side? Have you been shared any information on this? Are we inching anywhere closer towards it, or is it nowhere to be found?
We are in dialogue with the American side. I don't think there is a serious peace initiative that is kicking right now. This is the problem. We understand when the Americans talk about their concerns. And I said, we understand your concerns, but what are the solutions? The problem is there are no solutions so far. And unless we start talking about solutions, unless we talk about finding someone that's willing to put the pressure on Israel to give back the land, to give back the Palestinian land, to give up the Golan Heights, and then this will be the beginning of the tunnel, and it will take us to more peace and stability in the region, because the peace and stability in the region is peace and stability for the entire world. The world is changing. The war is changing. It will not be the same as before. So any instability here may reach Europe and the United States and elsewhere.
Elias, the Defense Minister of Lebanon, thank you very much indeed. And as you just heard the minister say, quite a bit of rejection so far of what has come through from Washington, D.C., the kinds of policies and statements that have emanated from the Trump administration, whether it's to do with the Golan or anything else that has been decided so far. So a very cautious approach here. And as we just heard, nothing that suggests that there is any kind of serious peace initiative on the table.